All right, folks, we're back at it, and today we are talking about Jaylin Noel from Iowa State, the talented, stockier slot wide receiver. Does he fit the Rams? Who does he fit? We're going to get into it. Before we do, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Also, be sure to follow me on all social media at JK Bogan, including Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Kick. In addition to that, just want to let you guys know that I've done plenty of other stuff. So if you haven't checked it out, be sure to check out my other draft prospects, including my breakdown on his teammate, Jaden Higgins, which kicked us off in the series. So let's dive into it. Jaylin Noel, senior out of Iowa State. I gave him an early to mid second round grade. He had 80 receptions this past year for 1,194 yards and 8 touchdowns. He's dynamic, while a little bit undersized, but he really turned heads on tape. I think he was held back by quarterback play. I will stand by that. I really feel like there were multiple times where you could see it on film. He was open and he was thrown into a contested catch situation, which was, of course, a little bit of an issue. So, look, he's got 4.3 speed. This is a guy that, creates separation, really, really good separation skills on full display. He's got that quick twitch burst that you love to see. He can shake defenders all over the field. His route running prowess is special. This is a polished technician as a route runner, crisp breaks, subtle head fakes, and this is going to be a guy that really excels on the deeper routes downfield. I think his ankle flexion shines on those sharp cuts. You're going to see a guy that really snaps at the top of that break. And I think that's really big. When you can get a guy that snaps at the break point and really kind of separates, he's not just rounding off his routes. This is the important thing. If you're going to bet on anybody at the next level at wide receiver, you're going to bet on guys that separate, guys that are consistently open, and it's not necessarily schemed open. This is a guy that can win on his own, and it is clear and evident. Wore number 13, and let me tell you, 13 was everywhere, all over the field, especially in that bowl game when he had to really come through in a big spot because Jaden Higgins, I didn't see him on tape, was not on the field. So his YAC ability is really good as well. This is a guy that's slippery in space after the catch. Like I said, he's got great ankle flexion, so he's good at, all in one motion. He gets the ball, sucks it into his body, but then he turns around and he's already turning upfield. And, that's a big thing. So much, a lot of people don't understand, but so much of yards after the catch ability is putting yourself in position while you're making the catch to position yourself to push upfield without really any sort of a hitch. So that's something that he does very well. He averaged 6.8 yards after the catch in 2024 per PFF, and he's got elite speed. I mean, he's got blazing pace, really instant acceleration. And he's got this second and third gear. When he kicks into third gear, it's a thing of beauty. He really leaves some talented DBs in the dust, and that was very well on display, on his tape, whether that's verticals, crossers, posts. He can really make you pay. He's got natural hands, soft, reliable, caught 64 of 68 catchable targets, according to PFF in 2024. He adjusts to underthrows well. He has excellent ball tracking ability and body control. He has a catch on film where he's in between two defenders on kind of like a seam buster, but you're throwing it to a 5'10 wide receiver, right? And it's in between two defenders. I don't even know how he comes down with the catch. He just makes the catch. That is what you're getting with Jaylin Noel. He plays bigger than he actually is. And the weird thing is, I don't even feel like he does, but then he comes down with catches like that, and you're like, all right, it doesn't always look like textbook, but he makes the play. It's a really fun player. He's a really fun player on film to watch. He's a true deep threat, excellent deep route runner. He's going to stretch defenses. He's going to open up, the middle of the field underneath. And he's really going to force safeties to respect that top end gear. And I think because of this, as long as he shows this in the NFL at the capacity he did in college, it's going to open up your offense. I mean, this is a guy that can really kind of change your offense depending on, who ends up drafting him. He dominated in the slot. He had 75% of his snaps in the slot. Quick. He's got route savviness. can really just dominate nickelbacks in coverage. And he won on the outside as well. Wasn't utilized entirely on the outside. Like I said, 75% of his snaps were in the slot. But I thought you saw some really good things on the outside that would lead you to believe that, yeah, he could work out there. In addition to that, I think he's got a lot of upside. I think his quarterback limitations cost him about 200 to 300 yards this past season, maybe 2 touchdowns. And I think if he had like a Shadur Sanders or a Cam Ward, I mean, we could be talking about this guy maybe at the back end of the first round. Because of that, though, I think he does go in the second round, and whoever gets him is going to be very excited. He does have cons, though. I think when you look at the blocking limitations, those are there. It's not that he's not a willing blocker. I just think also he didn't really get a ton of experience based on the tape that I watched. And I watched 4 games, full games and everything. He didn't really get a lot of opportunity to block. So I think that's something that is interesting, something to monitor at the next level. I don't think it's anything that's going to cause him to dip in the draft, because if you're getting this guy, you're getting a weapon. You're not really thinking so much about him playing every single down and being a blocker. More so you're thinking about how you're going to use him in motion and things like that. So again, it's not really his fault either. He just wasn't utilized like that in college based on what I saw. I thought the consistency on the outside, like while he has the ability to win, I think he's definitely a slot first guy. I'm not really relying on him on the outside to start his career. He's going to have to grow into that. Of course, a con is going to be obvious, his size concerns. This is a guy that, he's technically undersized. I don't really care. I don't really put too much stock into size, but it is noticeable when he does, get bumped off routes by longer corners and guys that are really good in press. He does struggle with contested catch drops. He had 4 of them. So that's something as well. And like, while he can also make a crazy catch here and there, he does drop those. And then he just doesn't really have the strength, the play strength that you want. So NFL comparison, who does he remind me of? Well, it's very simple. I think right away, I'm watching this player. He reminds me of kind of a throwback. It's probably making some people feel old here. Eddie Royal. Royal is a player I remember watching on the Broncos. Really liked his game. Crafty, quick, slot option, route running finesse. He's got return value. Was never the primary target. I think he can be better than Eddie Royal, but I also don't want to sell Eddie Royal short. This guy early on in his career looked like he could have been a star. I think he dealt with some injuries, and so he fell off a little bit. But I also see a combination of Eddie Royal and like the savviness, but I also see kind of the speed and the deep ball ability, albeit a bigger frame. But he reminds me a little bit of Darnell Mooney as well, of the Atlanta Falcons. I think he kind of is in that same boat. I mean, some people could say, I would probably say, Mooney and Eddie Royal. There's going to be other comps. I know some people will say Tyler Lockett. I get it from a body composition standpoint, although I really think Kyle Williams reminds me more of Tyler Lockett. But watching him, because he's definitely faster than Lockett, I would say, this is a more speed-driven player, but don't mistake don't mistake speed for not having route running ability and nuance and things along that nature. I think as far as the Rams are concerned, if you watch to this point and you're a Rams fan, you want to know if he fits. I think he absolutely fits, and here's why. The Rams right now are fine with their 3 wide receivers. They have 3 starters, whether you like them or not: Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, and Tutu Atwell. They have Jordan Whittington as their 4. Now, here's the deal. They have everything. All the boxes are checked. They have their X receiver. They have their slot receiver. They have their Z receiver. They have their guy that can be the deep threat. They have their guy that can help you underneath. They have their guy that can break tackles. They have their guy that can block. They have 2 guys that are excellent blockers, and Atwell's a pretty good blocker in his own right. So being that that's the case, and you got Puka Nacua you're going to have to pay eventually, and you do have Whittington under contract for another 2 years after this year, and Tutu Atwell's a free agent, and Devontae Adams could be a free agent after this season if it doesn't work out, but most likely is on a 2-year deal, and you'll play the 2 years. You only have 2 years of Devontae, right? You only have 1 year of Atwell, and then you have to sign him. So I think this kind of gives the Rams some opportunity here. You're picking... you're not picking in the second round. You traded away to move up to get Braden Fisk last year. So this would have to be a trade down here or a trade up out of the 3rd, which is certainly possible. And if you went out and got Jaylin Noel, here's the thing. I think he definitely fits the Rams because you can use him in different ways. Very similar to why I really like the fit of Luther Burden. I think he offers something that's not actively on the roster. I've seen even some people call him supercharged Tutu Atwell. I don't know if I would agree with that. I think that's kind of selling Tutu short. But the thing about Noel is that he's more built, I would say. Atwell's more of a slender build, like similar to what I was just mentioning with Darnell Mooney, similar to guys like Marquise Brown. But when you look at somebody like this, he's kind of filled out a little bit. He can break some tackles. He's got a good body composition for that size, for that height. And so I actually think he does offer something that's not actively on the roster. So the route running nuance and all that, the thing that steers me away is the blocking ability. I don't know if the Rams are going to be okay with that, but at the same time, they probably will be, because guess what? They was just not asked to do that. And another thing, same reason why we were talking about Jaden Higgins, we're talking about Jaylin Noel, his teammate, Nate Shieldhaas, who just got promoted with the Rams, pass game specialist, pass game coordinator. This is somebody that was the offensive coordinator for Iowa State before he came to the Rams. So he coached not only Jaden Higgins, but he coached Jaylin Noel. These two have familiarity, and he has the intel. And I'm sure he's still close with his buddies over at Iowa State. So I'm sure he's been in contact and he's gotten plenty of info. So I just think they have way too much knowledge here on this player, too much intel to not consider it. I think he's definitely a fit. I think really this draft, because the Rams went out and got Devontae Adams and they have the guys they have, they brought back Tutu Atwell, which a lot of people didn't think, including myself, would happen. I think because you check all the boxes in your wide receiver room, you can draft whoever you want. And this is as much right now as it is for the future. I think it's way more for the future, but these guys can contribute now. So it's kind of like pick your poison, or rather pick your flavor. Like, I like mint chocolate chip ice cream. I like vanilla. I like chocolate. I like coffee. Sometimes I mix and match. That's how I feel about this draft. There are going to be guys that you absolutely love, and there are going to be other guys you absolutely... It's going to be tough. It's really going to be tough. I like a lot of receivers in this draft. Jaylin Noel is a different flavor than a Jaden Higgins. Jaylin Noel is a different flavor than, somebody like an Elick, Io Manor, right? He's a different flavor than Matthew Golden. But I think, in a lot of ways, he's similar to Burden. I wouldn't call him the same. I think Burden's way better after the catch, but I like Jaylin Noel a lot. I would not be surprised if the Rams pull the trigger. I think he fits very well. I think the blocking, that'll be figured out if he does get picked up. And Eric Yarber with wide receivers, I think he's still, if he's not the best wide receivers coach, he's definitely one of it. I think he's going to be huge for any receiver. They will draft a receiver. I have no doubt about it. That's probably the most sure thing in this entire draft, is that the Rams will select a receiver. And I think they selected in the first 3 rounds. And I wouldn't be surprised if Noel was one of those guys that they look at. So that said, you got the slot speed, you got the field stretching ability. Okay, he doesn't have a lot of experience blocking. That'll change. People said Tutu Atwell couldn't block. Then he goes to the Rams and looks like a pretty decent blocker. So we'll see. But I think he could be a spark plug for this, this offense. I think he could really help out this team, and he could be a mismatch. When you look at Matthew Stafford and the way he can throw the ball down the field, while I'm watching Jaylin Noel, which, by the way, I was watching the tape with a lot of the viewers here, or not a lot, but a decent amount of the viewers on Kick, doing that, watch party thing. I'll say this. Every time I watch this guy streaking down the field, and it'd either be an overthrow or an underthrow, I just thought, imagine what this guy could do with Matthew Stafford throwing him the football. So Jaylin Noel, 5'10", $194, maybe not the tallest, maybe not the strongest, but he's one of the fastest. He's a great route runner, and he is getting himself open almost every single play you'll find. Guys like that, I tend to bet on instead of guys that are contested catch guys that cannot separate. So I feel really good about Noel for his career. I think he's going to have a really good career. And if he goes to the Rams, I think it's a great fit. Those are my thoughts. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about Jaylin Noel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, folks. Later. All right, guys, so once again, just want to let you guys know that you can check out my new side project, The Lounge. I interview athletes, musicians, actors, actresses, all the 9. So definitely check it out over on the Lounge with Jake ELLENBOGEN channel. Be sure to subscribe and enjoy. In case you guys haven't noticed, I do have a Discord channel for my community on this channel. And if you want to be a part of it, it is free. The link is in the description below. You can sign up. This is basically a 24/7 Rams channel, and we are almost at 1,100 members. So if you want to be a part of it, just hit the link in the description below.